everyone. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, July 13, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. You want to make sure you're in a comfortable position, no outside distractions, still as a statue, relaxed into your body. Focus on your breath rising and falling. On one hand, many of us would like to have a 100% guarantee that everything is going to be okay throughout our lives. But there's also that part that says, would we learn anything? And it's probably not a good idea to have it that way so that we have these other things come in, but it all works out in the end. So we have this agreement with the God that we are in these bodies. And it says our entire future will be safe from harm, free from pain, and that we will always manifest our every desired dream. We want to know for sure that this life is always working out for us in our favor, and we are guaranteed a perfect, flawless future. Now, that's a lot to ask for, but the interesting thing is that you design it. Could it be that way? Sure. Now, the only problem with this agreement is that we also want a life that is, and here's the other part, brimming with excitement and overflowing with new fascinating ventures every day. And we want a future that is free from boredom and filled with a spiritual richness, that we are forever bathing in the healing qualities of our very soul. Now, the real question is would all of this be possible if there was no such thing as fear? And see, the irony to this is that we could create anything we choose about the life. We could fashion it and design it, and we can draft it up, we could have schematics of it, and we are the architects of our lives. So it's like you saying, this is the life I want to live, and you lay it out to the universe. And then you release it to the universe. And you have 100% confidence, faith, and trust in what you have sent to the universe. And you also have 100% faith, trust, and confidence in the universe. Now, obviously, one might say, okay, so I do that and I manifest that life. And then I say, oh, this is, I thought it was going to be more fun than this. It's kind of draggy and boring, okay? There's not enough excitement, not enough things coming in. And so you change it, and you fine-tune it until you get it to the way you want it. So it's kind of like a mixture of stuff, but from your perspective. And the only way that you can shift it and change it is by what you experience and how you experience it, and then you say, well, no, I don't like this part, I'm going to change this part. Makes sense, right? You're not at the mercy of anything but your own thoughts. There isn't anything else. You create it, and you bring it into your reality, and you experience it. And it's like fear. Fear is something that we create through the ego mind. It's an ego mind derivative. It comes from the ego mind. Now, we choose to embrace it, or we don't. And if we don't, it fades away. If we do, it becomes front and center. Now, one might say, well, if you don't have any fear, you could get in serious situations. Fear deters things for you not to do. Yes, that's true. But if you have mastered your thoughts, then you maneuver. You create. You create everything. There's nothing that isn't created by you as far as your life, your experiences, all of that. You decide. Nobody else does. And it's a fallacy to believe in the way a lot of us have been taught to believe otherwise. You're the orchestrator, the director, the conductor, you're all of it. You are the one that lays it out. You're the mapper. You're the cartographer. You do it all. Now, do we believe, we've been taught to believe that this stuff comes where? Where does it come from? Out there. Up there. Somewhere. But it doesn't come from us. There's something else out there that dictates and directs and so on. Yeah, it's you. You want a wonderful life, you want wonderful health, you want this, you want that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. Everybody on this planet deserves the best of everything. So when you figure that out, okay, and you begin to start manifesting things that you desire with no issue, no problems, no blockages, and you start rolling out, then you see, most of us don't have confidence. Most of us don't have the trust or the faith in ourselves. So how are we going to have that same trust, confidence, and faith in the universe? You're not. You're going to doubt, you're going to wonder, and you're also going to fear and worry and stress. Until we master the mind, that's the way life will be. Now, am I saying the life that we don't know we create is a bad life? Not at all. It's full of all kinds of stuff. I mean, to get bored with it is crazy. It's like when you get in that mood where you feel bored, okay, fall into quiet, focus on what you're grateful for. It's absolutely phenomenal. You get bored, and everybody does. I don't care. And it's usually external. It's usually something that we're focused on something that's usually external. It's something, what am I going to do today? It's just kind of boring. It's just a blah day. And you shift gears and you focus on what you're grateful for. You have a gratitude session with yourself. It's imperative that we all have that. Not once in a while. Because a lot of us have it once in a while. But it's got to be all the time. This is part of the self-training that we give ourselves from the God within so that we can master all this physical material stuff. That's what it is. You're mastering manifestation. You're mastering bringing things into your life that you want. You're mastering the ego mind so it becomes at peace. It's no longer challenging and making you feel uncomfortable and stressed out. You master your thoughts. You don't have that noise anymore, that mind chatter. And you master your thoughts, and you shift into heart mind and not ego mind, because ego mind is going to go away. You're going to master it, and it's not going to be around. You'll master it, and you'll use it as a tool through heart-mindedness. But it's going to discover that it's at peace. Now, it never knew that peace was within. It never knew that it was part of the God. And once it discovers that it's at peace, it fades away. It's still there, kind of sitting in the back of the room, and it slowly but surely fades away. It's found peace. It never knew where the peace was. It didn't believe that peace was within. And so it fades out. This is a massive evolution. You don't go backwards, okay? You don't go backwards. You move forward on this evolution. It's a spiritual evolution. It's a self-determining, progressive metamorphosis in spirituality. And you see, people say, well, they go back or they jump back. It won't stick. They won't associate with it. We're moving. Not everybody. Everybody's moving forward to certain degrees. Some much slower, some much faster, some in between. This isn't a race, remember. There's no finish line. And so what we do is that we harmonize our lives through the gods that we are, and we manifest the lives that we truly desire. You don't care to have a life filled with hatred and disappointment, and rejection and hurt and pain and suffering. But yet, those things, you've written in to experience them. If all there was good, and this is, see, here's something that we are very fortunate in this go-around, in this incarnation. Why are we very fortunate? Because of the fact that it's not going to be this way much longer. We're learning and experiencing things that future generations won't be exposed to. So you know that if you plug in to the collective consciousness, all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond and forever, you're plugged into all the gurus and all the knowledge and everything that ever has been, that ever will be. There's your experience. Okay? You interact with it. Sometimes you might create something because you want it, because you've never experienced it before, so you want to experience it. But see, when you have mastered the mind, you have mastered the ego mind, you're in heart-mindedness, it's a whole different perspective. It's a whole different ballgame. Because in that, you've learned that you don't want because you already have. See? And your desires are basically based upon entertainment, so that you say, okay, I want this, and this is why I want it, and this is what it's about, and the details, and then just give it off to the universe. You're the universe is you. The God is you, you're the God. It's like I keep saying, we're all one. And we're all one. We're in this illusion energy field. It's an illusion. And it keeps us occupied, and it keeps us interactive. And it keeps us, in ways, growing, expanding, observing, taking in. And we have this because why? It's because we can. It's that simple. Is there a grand, what do you want to call it? A grand purpose, okay? Not really. It's just what we do. It's like a bug crawls on the wall. It's what it does. What we do is we incarnate in material physical form, and we experience it. Along the way, we create the life that we experience. And since we don't have memory, it's kind of like fly by the seat of your pants. Now, if you had memory, you can make comparisons. That will come once you master the ego mind. And again, the ego mind is not a enemy. Okay? It's an illusion. Comes with a body. This entire planet, all right, is run by ego mind. Has been for a very long time. Hasn't been run by heart mind. One might say, well, then what's the difference? Heart mind would be total peace, tranquility, benevolence, fearless, deep eternal love, gratitude, patience. I mean, bliss, joy, happiness on an ongoing basis. No interest in conflict, no interest in bombing, no interest in this, no interest in that, no interest in finances because you manifest whatever it is you want. I'm giving you a picture of what you can create for your future and how this planet will evolve. Massive amounts of life will reappear. Things will transition, and comparatively speaking, in a very short period of time. And the interesting thing is that humanity can't play God because it doesn't know it is God. You see what I mean? If it knew it was God, it wouldn't play God. Because at that point, you've mastered the show. You've mastered the ego mind. You've mastered your thoughts. You're in heart mind. The best way to look at it is, one of the best ways is that it's a transition. We know what ego mind is. Every single one of us do. Do we need to learn any more about it? We're learning about it to master it so then it disappears. We won't need it. And one might say, well, wouldn't we need it anyway because, it gives us comparisons and it boots us in the rear at times and this and that. No, because you're in a whole different existence. See, we won't carry this, a lot of things. They won't exist. We won't need them. See? You have thousands of lifetimes. And every lifetime you've experienced ego mind. It's a redundancy. Okay? But once you figure it out, you know what it's about, and you know its game plan, that's all. Then you master it. You know that how to calm yourself is to go into meditation. How to be at peace with yourself is to go into meditation. How to deep eternal love yourself is to go into meditation. How to manifest is to go into meditation. I mean, everything's about going to meditation. Why? Because that's where the heart is. That's where the heart mind is. That's where the peace is. That's where the silence is. It's like I've said numerous times, there's no chatter, there's no mind chatter in heart-mindedness. There's no worry, there's no stress, there's no fear. There's none of that. That's only in ego mind. So when you go into meditation, you become as still as a statue. Focus on your breath rising and falling and relaxed in your body. That's the now. That's where you want to be. You don't care to be anywhere else. You know what ego mind land is all about, right? You never have enough. You want more. It could be little teeny things, could be great big things, could be in between things. But isn't it true that we're always wanting something? Whatever it may be, we're always wanting. Have you ever been satisfied? I mean, let's just say the last 20 years you've been completely 100% satisfied. Interesting question to ask oneself. And then one might say, well, this is part of it. We want things, we want to enjoy things in life. And we already have them. We haven't learned how to access them. We already have everything. It's like many people on this planet have to be with someone. Why do they have to be with someone? Because that's the way it is. They want that love and tenderness and connection and everything. They want to be with someone. And they feel that gives them contentment. But then they don't understand what deep eternal love is. It's way beyond romantic love. And then being alone. You can't be alone. No one's ever alone. See? But in the material physical world, it feels that way. Let's put it this way. You're walking in the park. You see a couple, and they're holding hands, they're laughing, they're hugging, kissing, right? Now, most of the time you're going to say, you'll feel something from that, okay? And you'll, in most cases, want that. And it's a reflection. It's a part of you that couple at that time, at that specific place, is showing you. Reflection, right? We're all reflections of each other. That's a part of your life, okay? And then you feel kind of forlorn. And a lot of people have told me this. They feel, they wish they had someone. It makes them want to have someone. Instead of realizing that you have the universe, you have the God within you, you have all of us, Oh, no, that's different. I'm talking about intimately. There's no difference. It's just kind of how we've been taught, how to believe, how to perceive, how to associate, right? And then, of course, the ego mind word judgment. Judgment on oneself, judgment on others, judgment on the material physical world. Judgment, judgment, judgment. Then all of a sudden you stop yourself and you go, I don't really care to judge anymore. It's not a great energy. It kind of pulls you down. I want to be in gratitude all the time. I want to be thankful all the time. You say, what's wrong with that? Nothing. Nothing at all. A lot of us feel obligated, right? Material physical world, you feel, there's a lot of people that get into the mode of obligation. Well, they did this for me, so I better do this for them. You do it out of love, not out of obligation. You do it because you're helping a part of yourself. That's a biggie. And really comprehending that. Anybody that you offer a helping hand to, you are offering a helping hand to yourself in one way, shape, form, or another. And you ever notice that there's no agenda? You're not doing it to get something, okay, at all. You're doing it because you want to do it. And you ever notice that when you do stuff like that, you feel really good? You ever notice that? You feel like you have a spring in your step. When you give someone something, and you know it helps them in some way, could be a hug, whatever, you feel good about it. And that's the God within you. That's your natural state of being, by the way. But we get so distracted in the material physical world that we forget about that. It's like, well, you all of a sudden say, why am I having this feeling? It feels wonderful. And then it goes, it leaves. Oh, because ego mind kicks in and you start focusing on this, focusing on that, blah, 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 blah. I talk about creating and manifesting because it's what we do. Everything, emotions, okay? Physical material, spiritual, future, present. It's all about manifesting. It's all about giving it energy, creating it into our reality and experiencing it. That's what it's about. That's why we want to be careful about thoughts, because a lot of the times you're the blue sky and here comes a cloud, right? It's floating by, floating by, floating by. And then you get curious and you kind of feel the thought, which is the cloud, and then you pull it in, right? You give it energy and you create your reality and you experience it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a fun thing all the time. A lot of the times it's not that enjoyable because it isn't yours. Now, the difference is when you master the mind, you're sending thoughts out. Okay? They're not coming in. And I've said this before. Thoughts that come in are not yours. They're coming from someplace else. They're other people's thoughts. And this is why there's such a redundancy in this civilization, this particular species on this planet. It's why we repeat things throughout the ages. You ever notice that we repeat things? We repeat events. You know? Not quite the same or exact, but the nucleus is the same. Okay? And we repeat those as a civilization. Why is that? Because, you've got all these thoughts flying around and they're very similar. And we're in this merry-go-round. It's going so fast that none of us are interested in jumping off of it. So we stay on it. And we know we want to jump off because we just aren't interested in it anymore. And that breaks the cycle. What's the cycle? Repetitiveness. Doing things over and over again. Have you ever noticed that we label things? We label everything. You name it, we label it. And maybe, in this society it gives it some type of credibility. Well, you're a scientist. Well, many years ago there weren't any titles like that. You just enjoyed researching and looking and discovering it and things, And there wasn't a school or educational structure. You just learned through life. And certain avenues and areas you embraced and researched and experimented with, and you became more knowledgeable in certain areas. See, we master things. And in this civilization, it doesn't happen. In other words, let's say you master something in your life. Now, once you've mastered something, does it make any sense to continually do it? You've mastered it. No. So you would go off to something else that you'd never done before, and you'd say, I want to master that, just like I did this over here. See, you have the confidence that you gave yourself by mastering something. And so when you go and you look at something, and it's unfamiliar to you, and you say, I want to master that, and I know I can master that because I mastered this over here. But you'll master something and you stay with it. In this civilization, you don't leave it, right? You stay with it. It's like a MasterCard, because it takes so long and we have such a short lifespan, really, truly, comparatively speaking, that that's what we do. You master tin knocking and you just stay as a tin knocker. You master plumbing, you stay as a master plumber. You master electricity, being an electrician, you stay a master electrician. You're a woodworker, you master woodworking, you become a master woodworker. It could be anything. You become a master teacher, you master the art of teaching. It goes on and on and on. But see, what we do is we stay with that. It's safe. We know it. We've mastered it. We don't care to go out. So as we master, we become more complacent. Never notice that? Because we get more comfortable, because we're more assured that what we've done and what we've accomplished is mastering something, and we're looked upon as a master of whatever it is. And so instead of moving to something and mastering something else, and once in a while you'll come across someone who's done a lot of things. You ever notice? You go, how can you have done all these things? Because your perspective is that in our society you're taught, you go to school, you get a job, you stay there. Not so much prevalent now, but there's still people that are lifers, okay, in jobs. But not as prevalent, because people move around a lot, and they get 2-3 years here and 4 or 5 years there. But the basic structure you get a job, you stay there until you retire. Right? And if you're retired, then you get a pension, which is less than what you made when you were working, which should be more than what you were making when you were working, because you need more when you're not working. So these are all things that have molded us, conditioned us, directed us, and guided us. And this is why things, you ever notice that you look back 10 years ago, you'll see things that are completely different than now, at least on the surface. And then you'll see things that are very similar. You ever done that? Has it ever dawned on you, this reminds me a lot like such and such 10, 15, 20 years ago. Eerily so. We look at things like, different world conflicts and stuff, and we see them in real time, and we go, man, this is very similar to what was going on 20 years ago. Why is that? Why does there have to be conflict? And a lot of people ask that. Why does there have to be conflict? We're all brothers and sisters of this planet. It doesn't matter. All the man-made labels, those can be shed. certain beliefs and stuff about this and that. You surrender. This is why I talk so much about surrendering. You surrender every day, several times a day. If you don't, because then it gets all goopy, stuck, not too pleasant. And then we look at things and say, well, wait a minute. I don't have to do this over here. I just noticed that I get the habit going, so I'm doing this. I don't really care to do this anymore. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to switch gears and go over here. See, when people on this planet know themselves deeply, and I'm not talking about through ridicule, coming hard on themselves, disrespecting themselves. I'm talking about the opposite of that, where they nurture themselves, they love themselves, they feel good about who and what they are, that the God that they are in the body, that the body is a vehicle, a vessel, that allows the God to experience material physical world. All of it. The whole kit and caboodle, the whole shebang. And we, being human, God's in human bodies, we have such power to direct things, to manifest things, and to create things. We create our own lives. Nothing else does. You decide you're going to be somewhere where you've never been before and a bunch of stuff happens. You ever done that? You all of a sudden, you change directions in midstream and you say, I'm not going to go here, here, and here. I'm going to go over here. I've never been there. I've never done that before. You go over there and all kinds of things happen, right? They totally blow you away. Only because you decided to go over here and not continuously go down here. There are some of us will go down the street. And the street has, where the pavement comes apart and it's a pothole. We call them potholes. And, some of us have stepped in them because there's water and you really, you aren't paying much attention and your foot gets soaked. But imagine walking down a road, and the road is the life. Okay? And you're walking down a road and you step into a deep pothole. It goes all the way up to your knee. You're all wet and it's cold and very discomforting. So, okay, you dry off and everything. You go about your way. And lo and behold, you go down that road again. And you think that you're going to avoid the pothole, but all of a sudden the pothole that was there is not there. And you keep going, and then you end up stepping in another pothole. And you go, what the heck's going on here? So after a while, you just kind of ignore it, and you just step into potholes. And you say, okay, I'm going to try a different road, different direction, So you go down a ways, you turn right, and you're on a different road. But it's still connected to the main road. So you go down a different road, and you're, skip along, boom, you step into another pothole. Filled with water, you're all soaked, legs all soaked, socks soaked, whatever. And you go, darn it, where did that come from? So finally you begin to realize is that when that road of life that you've laid, that you created, you begin to say, I don't really care to walk down potholes today. I don't care to walk down a road and step into a pothole. I'm going to focus on being in deep gratitude, genuineness, generosity, humbleness, kindness with myself. And lo and behold, you go down the road, there's not one pothole. You do not step in one hole, soak your leg at all. Because you redesigned it. You just said, I'm not going to step in potholes today. I don't really care to. And remember, the road is your life, and the potholes are the events that occur in your life. And you say, I'm in deep gratitude for this very moment I am in, and there's no potholes. They disappear. You shift your frequency. You shift it into higher frequency. Therefore, you attract an entirely different energy. Remember, you become the magnet. And you're always a magnet. It's supremely powerful. And this is what you attract. So when you stay in gratitude, you attract gratitude. This, you can shift anything you desire. It's part of the power that you are within that body. It isn't about anything else. You're the power. You want to shift something, you shift it. You focus on gratitude. You focus on deep, eternal love of oneself. You focus on these things. You don't have any ulterior motive or anything. You're just focusing through the heart mind and not the ego mind. You leave the ego mind alone because you know where the ego mind usually takes you. Because you've had so much experience with the ego mind, you don't really care to engage it anymore. So you do everything in avoiding the ego mind. You leave it alone. And you put all this together, and you begin to realize that you, are the master. You start saying to yourself, wait a minute, I did that. No, nothing else did that. I did it. I manifested that. I created that. It's something that I wanted, and I brought it in. Now, of course, it's not being an ego mind. You don't get egotistical. You don't get arrogant or anything like that. You're just at peace. And so you draw things to you knowingly, not randomly. Randomly is ego mind. But knowingly, you design things that come into your life because you want to experience them. And that's exactly what you end up doing, experiencing. And then you begin to awaken more and more with clarity and decide, I can do these things. I've always been able to do them. I just never believed I could do them because I was so entrenched in ego mind. And see, so your confidence, your trust, and your faith in yourself and this universe grows. You ever have that feeling in the center of your chest where you just know you are absolutely positive, not with attachments or expectations, but you just know that you're manifesting something that will be there. That's it. And you're not looking at it from the time element or anything, which is difficult at times. But you view it and you go, I know this is going to manifest. There's no doubt about it. And you just leave it be. And guess what? It ends up manifesting. It's when we send the signal out to the universe and then we mess with it. You see what I mean? We send it out and then we come back and visit it and mess with it through ego-mindedness. And 99.999% of the time, it doesn't manifest. But through heart-mindedness, you send it out to the universe and you let it go. You don't mess with it. It's done. It's been sent. And that's your knowing that it is in the process of being manifested. Not wishful thinking, not being tricked by the ego mind thinking that you're in the heart mind, but knowing you're in the heart mind. Knowing that you're at the center of your chest, you're in heart-mindedness, you're in moment to moment and not ego mind, which is yesterday and tomorrow. And whenever you feel like you've been pulled into yesterday and tomorrow by ego mind, then you start all over and you go back into heart mind. But you hear me say a lot that we are the power, and we are. It's not a saying. It's a fact. It's the real truth. We're not disheveled, shattered, and meek, weak beings. We're the opposite. It's just that we've been taught to believe that we're meek, weak beings, and we're not. We're the opposite. join in meditation. I'll return to close this out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into your body. Focused on your breath, rising and falling. For today, just sometime today, get out a pen and paper, and for about 20 minutes write down everything that you appreciate about you, yourself. Small or big does not matter. Just keep writing these positive statements down. And then choose the top 3 most emotionally moving appreciations on your list. And sit down and feel these ideas inside your body. Notice where you keep them inside. Post your list on a wall where you can read it and add to it anytime in the future. Whatever you discover, revisit it again and again and again throughout the day. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night, the following morning. We will return here Monday. July 14, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest. Eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's going on within you or outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.